Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the absolute paradox that is Yemen. I want you to imagine a place shrouded in ancient mystery. We're talking about a land where the world's very first skyscrapers were built entirely out of clay, and where unique spice feasts offer flavors you literally cannot find anywhere else on Earth. Yet, this exact same nation is currently locked in a massive modern tragedy. It's one of the poorest and most dangerous countries in the Middle East, completely gripped by chaos. So today, we're going to unpack this incredible contrast. It's honestly hard to wrap your head around the devastating reality of this nation. You have a country with this magnificent heritage, ancient clay skyscrapers that have stood tall for centuries, and yet the United Nations has officially declared Yemen the planet's most devastating humanitarian disaster. Millions of people are displaced, living in incredibly harsh conditions without reliable access to basic food or clean water. And that is the stark juxtaposition we are exploring. On one hand, you've got a land of raw beauty, mysterious traditions, and a deeply rooted cultural heritage. On the other, it's a brutal, daily struggle to simply survive. We're talking 250,000 lives lost, a completely collapsed healthcare system, and millions plunged into extreme poverty. It's a direct, heartbreaking clash between a rich past and a desperate present. Section 1. Geography and Paralyzed Wealth. Think about where Yemen sits perfectly on the map, right at the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula, bordering both the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea. But its most critical geographical feature is its proximity to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. A massive 12% of all global trade passes right through this narrow choke point. That makes Yemen a highly strategic, geopolitical hotspot that directly influences international shipping and commerce. But here is where we hit a supreme irony. Yemen is actually a resource-rich nation. It's sitting on immense, highly valuable oil reserves, hidden right there in its land and rock formations. Yet, because of exploited resources and completely failed domestic infrastructure, they can't extract or refine it. Instead, everyday citizens are forced to import expensive gasoline from neighboring Oman at a staggering $1.50 per liter. Just imagine paying that much for basic fuel while living in profound poverty. It's a textbook example of a paralyzed economy. And it's not just about oil. Think about the incredible, untapped beauty of the land itself. Yemen's majestic landscapes, from pristine beaches to golden, solid rock sand dunes shaped by millennia of natural erosion, could easily draw millions of global travelers. But the persistent internal conflicts have completely erased that potential. Today, those stunning coastlines are eerily abandoned. They basically serve as nothing more than refuges for wildlife, while the tourism industry remains completely non-existent. Section 2. Roots of the Crisis. So how did we get here? Well, this turbulent descent has literally been centuries in the making. 200 years ago, it was part of the Ottoman Empire. By the mid-19th century, British intervention sparked Arab rebellions. Deep tribal divisions have always made national unity incredibly difficult here. Fast forward to 2011, and the Arab Spring plunged the country into a deep political crisis with no strong leader to step up. Ultimately, that vacuum led to the horrific 2014 civil war. It's a bloody, ongoing proxy conflict between the government, which is backed by Saudi Arabia and the West, and the Houthi rebels, supported by Iran. Section 3. The Human Toll. The sheer scale of this tragedy is, frankly, almost unimaginable. More than 250,000 lives have been lost since the fighting began. And that staggering death toll isn't just from violent proxy warfare and bombings. A massive portion is from the resulting widespread famine that has absolutely swept across the nation. And the ripple effects? They're catastrophic. A staggering 80% of Yemen's 33 million citizens currently depend on urgent international humanitarian aid. To put that into perspective, that means 8 out of every 10 people you pass on the street are in desperate need. And with healthcare systems completely collapsing around them, getting treatment for even basic illnesses has become nearly impossible. It gets worse. Tragically, over 60% of the population is trying to scrape by on less than a single US dollar a day. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that tiny amount is all you have to feed your family. When you combine that near total lack of income with rampant currency inflation and the tripled fuel costs we talked about earlier, you can see exactly why everyday survival is just an agonizing struggle. Section 4. Daily Life and Survival. Just trying to get into the country to witness this reality is an absolute ordeal. You can't just hop on a flight to Yemen. Direct flights basically don't exist. You have to fly into neighboring Oman, specifically Salalah, and endure a grueling 33-kilometer drive through the desert. Because the northern and western borders are completely impassable due to violent instability, you have to enter via the eastern border. There, you face interrogations from Somali border guards, and you're only getting through if you have special press access. Once you're actually inside, the word lawlessness takes on a whole new meaning. Navigating means passing through constant military checkpoints, carrying this ever-present fear of kidnapping. You will literally see child soldiers, kids as young as 8 or 10 years old, carrying rifles larger than their own bodies and driving pickup trucks. In some territories, al-Qaeda flags flutter out in the open. Meanwhile, everyday citizens are dealing with an entirely broken infrastructure. Electricity rotates 3 hours on, 3 hours off. And in the capital city of Sana'a, those magnificent 2,500-year-old gingerbread-style mud brick buildings, they're slowly crumbling into ruin. Then you have to factor in the cultural and economic drain of khat. Khat is a narcotic plant that looks a bit like spinach. Chewing its leaves is a deeply ingrained daily ritual for locals seeking a relaxed, euphoric state to just pass the time. It gives them a temporary psychological escape from their harsh reality. But the ultimate tragedy here is that cultivating khat sucks up massive amounts of precious water and arable land, the exact resources desperately needed for food crops. So this highly addictive leaf actively worsens the country's severe famine. All of this creates a total paralysis across literally every demographic. Highly respected, fully qualified doctors are earning starvation wages of around $200 a month, which isn't nearly enough to live on. The average worker makes even less, around $100 a month, often forcing them into illegal side jobs or taking bribes just to feed their kids. And for women, the reality is incredibly grim. They're trapped in a deeply patriarchal system, largely confined to their homes. They require a male guardian, a marham, just to go outside, and they face horrific realities like forced child marriages. Section 5. The Spirit of Yemen. But here is the amazing part. Even while walking barefoot on dusty roads, the local people maintain this profound sincerity and warmth. If you visit, they'll eagerly share what little they have, inviting strangers to sit on the floor, share some khubz flatbread, and eat hearty salta stews. They are deeply proud of their unique culinary heritage of bold spices and camel meat. Interestingly, they also have a very unique perspective on time. Most folks don't track exact birth dates or celebrate birthdays. Numbers just aren't that important. Instead, they find genuine happiness in the simplest moments, like kids finding their greatest joy in a pickup game of football in the dust. It beautifully encapsulates the absolute heart of the Yemeni paradox. Think about it. Here is a population completely stripped of its resources and stability, treated as pawns by global powers and corrupt local politicians. Yet, despite being surrounded by crumbling infrastructure and daily danger, they still radiate immense generosity. They absolutely haven't lost hope that their country will one day be known for its beautiful beaches and rich culture rather than war. So, as we wrap up this explainer, it leaves us with a pretty vital question. We've seen the beauty, the completely untapped wealth, and the devastating human toll. But can this historically rich and strategically vital nation ever break free from its tragic cycle over the next decade? Or will tribal thinking and international proxy wars keep it trapped in the shadows forever? It's a profound question to leave you with. Thank you for joining me in uncovering the complex paradox of Yemen.